session. Okay. So let's start, guys, with girls. Today's topic, design up. First pillar of design up, how we work together. Interesting team, about 115 different slides. Uh, this first event, well, I will say the second event by FoF Bosnia and Herzegovina is made in collaboration with Designdicate. A new kind of project made locally here in Bosnia and Herzegovina by a couple of guys. And what is the syndicate is basically a group of passionate outlets with desire to create a community of people from the industry whose goal is to connect the local scenes and to inform them better about the current trends in digital products, give them a little bit more knowledge, share the knowledge from the seniors, the media and junior people, maybe teach them some new tricks and tips and help them to improve their knowledge and skill. Let me introduce myself. My name is Dave Malouf. I'm the Figma community advocate for the region Bosnia and Herzegovina. And always those sessions will be recorded, and after the event they will be put on our YouTube channel. And the first and the most thing that we always need to be aware is to be kind to everybody in the session and in the chat. So please follow the Figma code of conduct. We don't allow the hate speech or any kind of speech that hates or verbally or whatever kind of disrespect other people or other attendees. So let's start. One of the emerging buzzwords in the creative industry lately is design operations, and it was coined by Dave Malouf. He's basically a design expert that helped raise the importance of this kind of design area. And the whole kind of industry realized the importance of design ops, and it gained increasingly more popularity lately, especially in the last 2 years. And however, the still design ops is a fairly new discipline. It's not surprising that you might ask yourself, what is design ops? And that's fair enough. So don't worry if you're in the design industry and not know. This kind of session will guide you and will help you to learn everything what you need to know about design ops, and including the importance, the work kind of principles, and how to get started as the first day. So back to that core question, what is design ops? Design operation focuses on the health of the practice, the people, and the project. And lately we will see how this kind of state from Christine reflects basically her statement. Working communication among the designers as well as cross-functionally is not easy unless the teams agreed on rules and processes that they want to follow. And basically the whole kind of teams set all those rules, how the design ops in one company should work. So introducing the design ops into the organization can help you to establish how designers should work together to excel their craft. So there are some kind of practices and rules that will help you to build whole kind of design ops environment in your organization and help you with all those practices and rules to build a better way of working and delivering the products to your customers. So when you speak about the design ops, there's three different kind of pillars. And once you're ready to get deeper into design ops, you start with three fundamentals. And they're basically originally coined or made by Nielsen Norman groups. And those are how we work together. It's everything about the progress, how to complete the projects efficiently, how we get work done is about the processes, achieving the whole kind of goals efficiently. And the last one is how our work creates impact. It's basically about the people working together efficiently. Today we will speak about the first pillar is how we work together. And there's, as we mentioned, the two other pillars in the design ops. And since design ops is a really, really big team, I especially choose the first one because it's the most important one to set the whole kind of design ops organization in your environment, start to work and implement the design ops methodology and the whole kind of I would say mindset. And when we speak how we work together is basically the way of how we working together can make or break your design teams. And that means that working together can be broken into three phases of planning and developing or structuring as a team. And those are organization, collaboration, and humanization. So those three phases we will talk today. And each of them has several rules, several kind of phases, that we need to follow up in order to set the whole kind of organization of the design ops, then later to transfer to the collaboration, and then after all to care about our people, and we call that humanization basically in our environment. And we can start with the first one is basically design ops starts with creating the right team and the culture, and it's rooted in how you organize your team and how it's structured. It starts and begins with your organizational chart. So basically what it means, what kind of roles and jobs are you on your team? And it is a part of everyday interaction. So the first thing and almost thing, it's that you need to make some kind of analysis of your team. So how many people do you have on the team? What kind of roles they have? Are they design system, the designers? Are they making any kind of researchers and that kind of stuff? And when you have set up your organization structure, then you can move on to move to make other things or to plan other things. So that means that design ops captures and facilitates basically the whole kind of team dynamics and the culture from how you meet to where you work. And you can always think of a culture as everything that makes up how you work together. So the first thing is that when we say collaboration, so how people interact between them, if somebody has a one role, how is it interact with the second guy, and what is the collaboration and communication between them in order to make the product better or to deliver the product better to the clients. Working together even includes a future hiring and how people on the team work and grow over the time. That means it's not just about the people who are currently in an organization, but also about the needs for the people in the future if the work expands or if the products and new clients are coming. So I don't think that a couple of guys or couple of girls can maintain a multiple clients, and we see that often in our IT companies where one designer holds two or three different clients, and after a couple of months we get the burnouts and that kind of stuff. So it's about hiring and growing the team over the time also. So when we start to talk about the first phase, it's basically the first phase is organization. So there's no doubt that having the right people in the right roles create a highly efficient team. That means that often it's easier to say that than to do that. But whether you have a formal design ops practice or not, having a design mindset can help you rethink how you can structure your design teams and how you can create a strong cultural foundation. So basically, when you talk about design ops mindset, then it can be boiled down to how do we work together to get impactful things done. And as you can see, always the bold words, bold keywords is the most important thing and about organizations, how we work together. And then having this mindset compels us to put all the concepts of design ops together in order to apply it to work and to the company structure. So that means that organizations work with this tough process and the forefront, apply to design ops practice the most aspects of their business, including like how we work together. And this is applies to those three pillars of the design ops. So when we speak about how we work together, we think about the organizing the teams, how they collaborate, how they humanize the environments, and how they get ready for more efficient work. And the second one is how we get work done is basically the second pillar of a design ops. It's all about standardizing the process, harmonizing them. So there's always a shared understanding of design intelligence and how to prioritize the projects. And the third one, the last one, basically as a third pillar of the design ops is how our work creates an impact. So measuring works to create accountability, socializing as a tool to educate others on the value of the design and to enable to use of the design thinking in regular activities. It's basically, we will see that how humanizing is working, how they're helping to evolve the team and basically to give them the respect about the things that they're doing. And if the people are really good respected and from everybody in the team, they will deliver the job better and better, and they will feel uh, great and respected from other people. And at the end, they will respect themselves because they will get the help from from other team members, and at the end, you will feel better. So further, the design ops mindset can be also applied at the individual level, and it impacts basically similar workflows and processes. I will not say such as file naming structure, but it is because the whole kind of organization needs to have the team level, like a heads and team leads and design ops guys, the maintaining guys who will work mainly on maintaining the design system, the people who will write the whole kind of documentation and processes, the guidelines, the rules and that kind of stuff. So it basically making the great team will help you to work better, and at least the end results, the organization will work better and will be better organized. So every time when a new client is come, you have a set of processes and rules and principles, and if you follow that kind of set of rules that you have a set once, then you can apply to the each client, of course, with minor changes depending on the I won't say category, but the business core of that kind of client. So you will probably have a set of rules and principles for fintech, the IoTs, the health industry, or whatever. So, but the core of the organization and everything, sorry, of those rules, you can apply it everywhere. Uh, the organization can break be breaking in several kind of phases that you need to follow up in order to set the organizational charts and that kind of first kind of phase of setting design ops environment is organizational structure. That means that the challenge with the organizational structure is that for growing teams, it's a moving target. And that means often a design ops manager learns what did and what did not work for the team with a lot of trials and errors. And we see that every time and it comes from kind of design thinking. You're trying something, you ideate something, you design it, you make a prototype, and you evaluate that. And every time the product managers will learn from any kind of mistakes, how they can make the organization better, who will fit better to different kind of roles, and probably hire new people if the other team members are not fitting well in the structure. So that kind of organizational structure is really important. And the always says building efficient teams is the one of the most challenging tasks in the world, regardless of a company. So you can paraphrase that this in a way, if you are a team lead or head of design in one company, every time when you're hiring new people, then you basically looking for things that you need in your team, or you look for the things that people has a little bit more than other people, just in order to fulfill those gaps in your team. So somebody can be good as a design system making, somebody write the documentation really well, and basically hiring those guys and making the efficient team uh, better can fulfill that kind of organization and help you to move on. There's a couple of things that we haven't talked about the organization. The first one that you need to do is making the organization chart. That means that by beginning creating a basic organization chart, it will serve you as a tool to visualize the internal structure of the organization and fill any possible gaps. It basically aligned to the slides before. And the second one is the team composition. So next, when you think about your team and make sure that they are competent and have the required skills to execute project. So it aligns everything on the previous slides, and it will help you to make that kind of organization a little bit more better. But those are just the principles and small guidance how to set the organization a little bit more better. But saying or staying in this kind of step is That means that, for instance, it should be clear who is the owner of each area, and to avoid the work duplication and create clarity as to how different tasks might overlap. We see that possible every time by our clients when people get a task and the product owner, product manager give you the similar task that aligns it's related to the task by your colleagues, and then somebody does the does the one work and the other team member does the second work. By presenting those works, you will have basically the one kind of idea or one kind of feature, but two different ways of designing. So basically, that that rule needs to be set up. Who owns the what kind of projects, and this is really important. There's a five team composition types that are defined by Nielsen Norman Group, which you can look to for guidance when designing your team. I will not say that I mostly agree on that, but in my past companies, I had similar way of composition types. But I will say the first one is the scattered one, and the name implies basically the scattered team composition distributes their design efforts across multiple people in different teams and incorporate tasks into their daily responsibilities. The second one is solitary. This dedicated design ops team of one has the complete responsibility to analyze design teams and identify any bottlenecks and pain points they experience. We call it either Scrum Master or the Product Manager today. The third one is specialized. The specialized team divides design ops responsibility among a few people, and each of those people oversee a specific design ops area while they're handling all challenges related to their assigned task. Distributed one is a good one, I would say. Don't get me 100% that I'm aligned on this, what I say, but I like it. Distributed teams composition consists of distributed design teams, ops roles across the organization, not just one team. And this is good. I think we see that with a Figma, what Figma did with multiple organization accounts, where, for example, you can have a one team who will oversee and maintain all kind of workspaces in your organization Figma, and it can resolve any kind of problem that other teams have, and that way you will have a one team who oversees everything and maintain everything. Elevated team composition functions as they vary your own departments, serve as a centralized support center and consultants to the rest of the organization departments. We had something similar with our one of our biggest clients. Basically, where I will apply elevated teams is when people are working when people are working with one workspace. Like UX researchers can have a one workspace where they work, and they can basically support everybody regarding the copywriting, and everybody can access to their files and just have a one single source of truth. Or the second one that we had with this one client is basically there was idea to align the whole kind of different products with one branding, and basically the brand department was the highest level of brand defending or brand serving. So everything what they did, the rest of the companies related to either to the design or either to the researchers needed to align what they did. So this kind of elevator is always good to maintain, and the responsibilities will be by their side. The third step that needs to be done is the role definition, and I think everybody likes roles, except me. I don't like them. I love my job, what I do, and I think that's most important for me. But when we speak about the role definition, it comes to the hardest part for existing teams. So what are the exact roles that each individual plays? And I think we spoke about like design system teams, the documentation teams, researcher teams, and that kind of stuff. So what kind of roles do we want to apply? And such a structure is really important to make because it facilitates the collaboration, which is at the core of the design ops mindset. And I think with the keyword mindset, we spoke a little bit more, or we mentioned it at the beginning of our session. So it's rooted in better communication, strategies, and as a part of the overall management for each project. That can be cultural phenomenon that lives within a team or starts early as a new employee and on board. Uh, the next thing that needs to be done, or next step, or next phase, I would say it's a phase better, is progress and working efficiently. Um, that means that design success succeeds when design ops looks beyond its organizational boundaries because it reflects confidence in how good design gets done. And this was stated by John Calhoun. He's basically the senior director of design ops by Salesforce. And I highlighted basically the keywords that are really, really important. That design succeed because it reflects the confidence. So if the team is really confident in what he's doing and what he's delivering, then that kind of design will succeed at the end, and the end result will be positive for the organization, for the company. But it also takes putting all the pieces into place in a way that facilitates completing projects efficiently. So when we speak about the first pillar, how we work together of design ops really work, then you need to step back and look at the bigger picture. So maximizing the impact of each team by making it work in harmony with the rest of the organization. And that means translated, the product designs needs to understand how it affects engineering, and engineering should think about how their workflow impacts project management. And you can guess the project management needs to understand the capacities of the entire cross-functional team. So everything is related from the small role at the beginning at the high end role at the top. And it's not just about the design teams. Design ops maintain also the other people, and we mentioned a couple of times the project management that includes the project manager, the product owners, the brand manager, depending on the design team that is working in an organization. But when we finish all those phases before and try to make your organization in the practice, then you need to think that the organization in the first place is a small design ops puzzle. And I think from previous slides, you can guess why, because it's getting started or recognizing a need that can be the biggest challenge to overcome. So there's a handful of common signals that indicate it might be time to start thinking, is it thinking with a, I mean, sorry, thinking with a design ops mindset within your organization. So how to do that and what are basically the signals that you need to think about or to look. And then the team's beginning to specialize more and work less on a utility players. So that might be able to see a distinction between the design, development, writing, photography, and among other things that starting to fall into their own lanes of work because the crossover. So everybody cares about their parts and not about the parts of other teams. And I wouldn't say it's a little bit selfish, but sometimes people don't like to collaborate. The collaboration is really, really important for design ops. The second signal is that organization has hit a plateau. So the one line, it doesn't evolve anymore and it doesn't scaling the way it once did. But every time when we start something, we had that big upscale, and then at the end, when everything is set up, then we have that flat line or plateau, and then the more jobs and more stuff is coming, the people are just, I'm not saying lazy, but they forgetting how to scale and how the organization needs to scale in order to deliver better and better products. And this is the one thing where you may see the problems with efficiency or product quality. And the third one is designers are feeling overwhelmed as requests come in more frequently and with more urgency. And this is because it shows that organization as a whole value designs, but creativity can take some time. And the more you have a task, your productivity will be lower. You just need to fulfill the story points on your Jira and doesn't think about the designs and the whole kind of value that needs to be delivered. Um, the next thing, I mean, we spoke about the organization, and the next thing is when the teams are organized, they can begin to cooperate and really start to dive into the work. at hand to make progress. So I think it's time for the next kind of phase, and this is the collaboration. Working together starts with organizing team. We did it. From there, the teams must collaborate and establish process to get the biggest benefits from the design ops mindset. And there's always that kind of keyword mindset that repeats. But you may be asking the natural question. So, how do you facilitate collaboration as a part of successful design ops practice? Uh, I would say the successful collaboration includes an environment that is conducive to communication and effective flow of information. You can think in many ways of this kind, but I think the main keyword is successful collaboration. And there was a state from John Calhoun, the senior director of design by Salesforce again. So how design teams collaborate is a reflection of our values and opportunities to live up to them. So let's take a look how to create a culture of collaboration. I think everybody of us in their daily jobs has a great collaboration. Some people don't like to talk with the other team members, or they think they don't need to talk with them. But I think the collaboration, the whole kind of meetings and Zoom calls or team calls are really, really necessary. It's not just think in a way that you're doing a design sprint. So when you have a design sprint planning or design sprints, like five days design sprint, then you need to have multiple people and they need to talk with each other. They need to brainstorm with each other. It's not just about the designers. You will involve probably product owners, the product managers, developers, and other people who needs to be on board for that kind of job that needs to be done for their client. And there's also a couple of phases that needs to be done that in order for better collaboration. The first one are the rituals and meetings. And I would say the effective collaboration requires ground rules. So how your team works in a group setting can also make or break how well everything plays out together. So the people needs to communicate. The first rule of design is communication, asking, answering, asking, answering. It's not just sitting there and just listening. You need to be involved in every part of a meeting or any part of a planning. So you can start with the basic ground rules. So you can ask yourself, do you have a predefined schedule for those meetings? Are they in person or online? Who will set the agenda? How long the meetings are lasting? So you can see it's a little bit related to the design sprint. So you need a facilitator, you need a place, you need to have somebody who will set the agenda and go through all kind of planning and meetings and in order to communicate better and give everybody the same amount of time, you need to plan how the meetings are lasting. So the second thing is the building an environment. So where communication happens is also part of design ops thought process. So that environment needs to be really, really great. I will not say like some cozy meeting room or whatever, but thinking about the environment is you can ask yourself the first question: is the group space conducive to collaboration? So is it really okay? Do you incorporate the brainstorming tools such as whiteboard screens for displaying information or pens and paper? So there's always connection to that design sprint. So planning, you do something, you do the design sprints, you make the ideation, you talk, you do some research. So you need a paper, you need a whiteboard to mark all your ideas and on all those things that are basically talked about in a meeting. And I will say this is also the really, really important thing that you can ask yourself. Are the chairs and tables arranged in a way that facilitates the conversation, like facing each other, sitting in a round circle, sitting on a long table where people sitting across each other, or is it basically talk and presented in stadium style, where you have, like me, you just have a stadium style, you're sitting in your chairs from other sides of monitors and just looking at me while I'm speaking. So it's basically the presenter style, what we see most often in the meetups. Why? is this really important? Because the interpersonal connection is really, really important. When you look in the eyes and the whole kind of gestures with where the people are doing with their hands and hats and whatever, it's really, really important just to see how the people are making conversation with you and how they're transferring their ideas directly to you. Uh, and I will say the last one is the location accessibility. Is the location accessible to all team members? Can everybody hear, see, and participate equally? Do you need any kind of equipment? Like if you, for example, take the meetups, so you have a large room, there's one presenter, so probably he need a microphone. Like in this case, where we have a virtual event, so presenting that kind of stuff. So it is accessible for you. Can you get there? Can you attend to the meeting? Is it online? Is it offline? Whatever kind of stuff. So that kind of accessibility needs to be taken in consideration. The communities of a practice. So we talk about the communities and everything. So the team needs to feel the ability to share and work in smaller interests and skill groups to engage in problem-solving tasks. So that means that communities of practice are basically a groups of people who share a concern or a passion for something they do and learn how to do it better as they interact regularly. Um, I would say to start that kind of community of practice in your company, your group needs to start establishing the three different kind of components, and I will just go quickly through them. I don't really read everything or explain everything. You can just read the presentation after the event is ended. So the first one is the domain, the second one is the community, and the last one is the practice. So the main is simply the common interest that brings the group together, and this group can be assembled across the teams and departments. The second one is the community. It's basically collective membership who regularly meet and share information. And the third one is the practice, is the actually work that craft and output that develops through discussion, interaction, advancement, and perspectives established by other team members and communities. So collaboration may be the single most important factor in determining the success or failure of product and the design team, but also you need to create, I mean, when you're creating the design ops role structures and etc., you need to set the top priorities that needs to be established, how the team will collaborate in the future, and how you can encourage your people to the collaboration, because not everybody like to talk, everybody like to listen, but a small amount of people like to talk and present, and it's okay. I think this is the last phase. It's collaboration in practice. Collaboration and processes doesn't look the same for every team or at every workplace. So I think I mentioned this at the beginning that the whole kind of process that you set once can be applied for the multiple different kind of clients, but you need to change every time and adapt it to different kind of stuff. But if you have the foundation of design ops and all those three things, then it's really easy to adapt it to other different kind of clients. And that means that teams can collaborate and process are generally more agile, working together with ease and have high measure of success. Um, we talk about the scaling, and scaling operations across your organization is one of the biggest benefits of this pillar. Why? Because a good design process and a good design systems will give the space to work more creatively and regain ownership. And this was said once by Lisa Aspers by one conference, and I highly agree. If you give a little bit more space to the people and a little bit more freedom, they will be more creatively and they will regain ownership. And I think in our language we will say hungry for the knowledge or hungry for the success. I will say the first one is the right one. Everybody needs to take their ownership to maintain that kind of stuff and be good at one thing, but know different things in order to apply them to build a better product. But always have one thing that you're good at. To fully facilitate collaboration, team needs or has to create some documentation and process. in order to help everybody to get full into the mindset. I think we spoke already about the documentation process, and this aligns on all those things. It helps you to document and process everything and write everything down, because if you make an organizational chart, and that chart will with the time evolve, and I think this is a really big and most important part for the last thing of the first pillar, the humanization, and you will see later why. So you need to create a shared repository of playbooks for so much, including design system governance, accessibility, best practices, career growth, and more. This is a little bit more aligned to the main owner of the design ops or design uh, operation designer. Is that the role? I don't know, but I would say the head of the design ops. Um, this will definitely help the team to feel more confident and in finding the info and trusting it too, because we I speak about the same client that I speak at the beginning. Last year, we took over the mainly part of a design for this client, and before us, one US agency maintained the whole kind of design. And I think at the beginning in the chat there was a question, what do you think about the sketch? So those guys worked everything, the whole kind of master files and everything was on the sketch. So our job was to transfer everything to the Figma, to make the whole kind of documentation, to make the whole kind of organization really clear for the rest of the people who are joining to the client. And I think they find really helpful at the end not to ask other people, but just go through the organization of the files and documentation and see, okay, this is the way how we do the meetings. This is the way how we do the branching. This is the way how we do this and this and this. And it's really really good to set those things at one place, because the team will feel more confident. They can move faster forward, and they can only focus on the design work that is basically needed. The last one, I think the last one, process and achieving goals, like a phase, is all this comes together in a way that ensures design teams have the process in place in order to achieve their goals with more efficiency. But there's this phrase, I heard this a couple of years ago, not quite sure from whom it's come, but they say strong opinions likely help. Uh, I will say the second quote from Jochen Wolters, and he's a design ops by the Shea. We all know how to work individually, but we have to define how we share our work amongst ourselves and with others. And I think this quote before can really align to this, how we share our work with the rest of the teams. And in a time when most teams and companies are anxious about hiring and employer retention, and we see that this year, the part of design ops can actually alleviate some of those concerns with putting in practice. How? Why? Because the right process establishes norms for a design team so that there's less time spent trying to decipher personal issues and more time working through the projects and problem solving for tasks. So if everything is really prepared, then you need to take less time on those things and focus a little bit more on problem solving. And this is the main thing that we as a designer are doing for our clients. Process needs to be there, and they're establishing basically the ground rules in order to help every member of the team to feel like they have an important role to play. And this is really, really important. Don't see anybody as a low ranking guy or girl in your team. Everybody has their role, everybody needs to fulfill their role. And it's not about the one single person, it's basically about the team, how the team is working as a whole kind of whole group, I would say, or whole family. And if you establish the right process, they can help you in the collaboration, uh, and you can move your team towards the higher level of collaboration. But because you may need to choose tooling that supports collaboration, this is the second pillar that we will not talk today. Second and the third pillar, basically. But when we have a set the second phase, and teams at the end needs to humanize each other. in order to work together efficiently. And we can explore that, talking a little bit more about the humanization. And this is basically the final part of working together is to make everyone feel like an actual human. And I think the biggest oxymoron in design ops that we can hear from other people is that we always put people over process. Is that true? I will say design ops is sometimes seen as the process team. The processes and programs are for us just a means to an end. And that this was also stated by John Calhoun, and I think the process team is the key word, the really important keyword for that. But the best design programs managers set their outcomes on people first and use the same tools of empathy, relationship building that the best designers deploy in their practice, and being human first and then successful follow. That means that being human first happens at all stages of the process, starting before someone's even the part of the team, so the hiring process, and then carrying through the help, then create the career development plans through the tenure with your organization. So you follow them with the hiring, you introduce them with the team, you let them work with the team, you find out what they're really doing good, and then you build their career growth based on all those skills and knowledges. And you treat them as a human and not just as a guy or a girl who fulfill the company needs. So there's also a couple of phases that needs to be done in order to fulfill the humanization part of a designer is hiring and onboarding. And there's a couple of things. The one is sourcing the best candidates. We always look on the traditional ways to recruit talents, and they may not be the best given because the high demand for top tech talents is really high now. But we can also easily find a candidate posting on job boards. There's always a good match with less competition. We can ask other colleagues for recommendation, that kind of stuff. And in that way, you can fulfill all those gaps what the rest of the team has. And the second one is evaluating their skill set properly. So after the shortlisting candidates who picked your interest or my interest as a hat, basically I need to develop a special hiring process for those roles that I'm identified in my organizational chart. So if I need a design system manager, I need a design system designer, then I will probably have a small skill set that I need is working with a Figma or just Sketch or any kind of other tool skill set probably in writing documentation. Do you have worked with a zero height or any other tool, or do you know how to build a separate tool for all kind of documentation? It's not just putting the name or the usage of a component in the Figma. It's basically the making the whole kind of documentation. So those skill sets need to be set properly for every individual role. And then you need to focus on the candidate experience. So creating a positive experience for our candidates is just really important as designing the efficient recruitment process. Why? Because it's essential that you leave a positive impression on those who come to the interview. And then when everything is set, then you have effective onboarding. We always have in our company an onboarding when people are coming, they have a dedicated designer who will explain them depending on the client they will work in the future. And then they basically need to do the whole kind of paperwork. We train them, we show them where they can find everything in Figma, where's the documentation, where's the videos if you made for something. And this kind of effective onboarding really helps. And in our company, sometimes it lasts 1 week, sometimes it lasts 1 month, depending on the client. And not everybody will agree with me because I think somebody from my company is currently on the event. But I really try to give a little bit more from my time and onboard really properly the people who will come in our company because if I spend upfront a little bit more time, then I will spend less time later because they will regain the ownership and they will work alone. And if they have any kind of question there, they can always come to me. So the next one is after hiring people and setting your whole kind of environment, there's a career development, and the whole kind of concept of humanization is part of the first pillar. And it's really important to think ahead because when we exercise in our organization, our thoughts are about the future of our team and our growth plan. So I always think about the people, where are they in 1 year or 6 months, depending on their involvement and their knowledge, and effectively approach the career development for your team, or based on my team, is to consider the next steps. And they are basically to learn and understanding the employees' career goals. So I really need to speak with them either every day or weekly or monthly or around feedbacks, and I need to understand what they can do, what they can do in the future, and how I can improve that. The second was is encouraging our team to learn, or your team to learn. So providing the whole kind of either courses, the conferences, and any special meetups that are related to your design ops or to their roles, I would say. Then building a formal mentorship program, so you can always find somebody who's ready, or who has the time in your company to start small mentorship programs depending on their roles, what they're doing. Probably you will have several design team members who will learn, who has a need to learn a little bit more about design systems, organization, or other parts of design, design roles that we currently have in our design ops teams. Then building a succession program is, I would say, this is related to onboarding programs. If somebody is really good, and then you can improve them, you can improve his role, and this is basically the upscaling of their role from senior to team lead, from team lead to head, and so on, so on. So this succession program is really important to be understand and to be discovered from your side as a design ops manager, because you are the main person who maintain your whole team. So if you don't see the possibilities or the knowledge who somebody is investing, then you're doing your job really wrong. And at the end, the people operation is the one of the phases that every person on the design team is contributor when it comes to the cultural success of the teams. That means that we as a designers, we know that every aspect of our work is founded in human experience. And I think human experience is something that we're doing from UX side. So everything what people are going, touching, clicking is related to their experience. And we as a humans have a nature to click everywhere, or to pick everything, or to try everything. And so naturally, our people ops practice is at the heart of how we engage our design team. So founded with human experience. Said by Carla Casariego. Um, we are not done yet. We will take a one break. I need a sip of water. And thank you for listening. Design ops practitioners understand the needs of their people. How? Through the education. So team members have the skills and knowledge to be successful, and they continually learn, train, and share knowledge with others. I think this is something that we do besides our jobs, and it's not just related to the design ops, but retention. Where managers protect their team cultures by creating an environment where people want to stay long term. So if you're really, if you have respect for your people and you be polite and you building your environment really healthy, then your people will stay long term, and the efficiency of the team will grow with the time, because they will feel good. They will feel really good, respected. I always say, in my company, I feel that people who I work with, I treat them like a family. And somebody will say, okay, the family in the IT industry is really toxic. I will not say it's a toxic. It was toxic a couple of years ago, but you need to protect your team culture. And we have a this kind of attention way is how we maintain is we don't hire everybody, and it's maybe falsely say, but it's related that we, besides the knowledge and expertise, we also pick people who fit in our culture because our culture needs to be healthy. And if your environment is healthy, then the productivity, efficiency of the work that you deliver will be better and better. And if you have a toxic environment, then it can be transferred from one guy to the second girl, or from the girl to another guy, and then you have a problem. Then the retention is basically higher than it needs to be. Accountability, where the team members and the managers hold each other accountable with a mutual respect. So the role needs to be there to be defined in the organizational chart and the hierarchy, but the mutual conversation and the respectable level of conversation needs to be at the same level. So they should not be, okay, look, I'm your manager and you're the small designer, junior designers, and I can do and speak to you however I want. So that doesn't need to be that in that way. So everybody needs to be accountable for the mutual respect. Why is humanization so important? You will ask yourself. I ask myself every day, and I live that. It comes down to the value of evangelizing design, which is at the core of DesignOps mindset. And when I say evangelizing, I don't like that word because Adobe use that word really, really often. And since we are the part currently as a Figma part of Adobe, it might be that I will start to use that word really, really often in the future. It means that everybody on the team is valued. They turn, they intern, they become ambassadors for the project and a good design within the organization. So if the job is done well, and if their knowledge and expertise is really well, they will be the ambassadors of something that they're really doing good in a company, and they can speak about the ways, about the documentation. Maybe somebody is really good in writing the documentation, has his own proven way of writing that other companies can be used. So they can start to be ambassadors of that. So you can see it in that way. People working together, yes, we do every day. We communicate every day. We collaborate every day. But creating effective teams is one of the things that almost every manager dreams about. And I think it's really, really hard work for our managers to do that. Because how do you put together a team that works effectively, enabling growth and development? I think you need to listen to see basically how do people interact between them, how they work effectively between them, how they're growing together, how they're developing the things that they're working on. Are the people feeling really that they have ownership of their work? Are the process and their role in their organization really fitted well with their knowledge? So it's really, really, really hard thing for managers to maintain that kind of stuff. So according to the Nielsen Norman Group again, and I think Nielsen Norman Group will have a lot of hiccups tonight evening because they they saying humanizing is a part where teams seems to fall short. And I'm not quite sure why and how, but they made a research where they did a couple of notes of why those reasons or why they staying behind that kind of statement. And the research say, or the results of the research was that 11% of the teams have a documented shared career ladder or growth plan for designers. They're saying that 82% of practitioners say that there is no way to advance outside of managerial roles. 79% of teams saying that do not have a process for consistently objectively interviewing design team candidates. 84% do not have a clear milestone to help new team members understand if they are meeting expectation. And I don't know why is that. I mean, I know that every bigger company has all those small hiccups and problems, but building the design ops environment, it's not a job that you will do in 1 month, or 2 months, or 3 months. And I will say the whole kind of core of those statistics is this: the working with people is really, really hard. And we as a manager, the heads or team leaders, we seeing that every day and we experience it every day. Sometimes you can talk with your teams really, really well, on a friendship basis. Sometimes you need to take your role or take your job really serious and be a little bit more harsh. But you need to spend a lot of time together. The more you spend a little bit more time with them, then you will probably think about them as a friends or family. And I will say the commitment to making the best of it is really humanizing teams, and it's worth the effort. So treat them as a humans, not just as a designers or not just as employees. And how to do humanization in practice, and this is really really hard, but it's broken in a couple of primary things. I will say two primary things. The one is the onboarding, so you want people to understand their role within the organization and feel like they made the right choice by coming to work there. So every time when I do the hiring, and I don't do hiring interviews like 1 hour or 50 minutes. Every my interview is about 2 hours. So the first 50 minutes when I speak with the people, we just speak about anything about their life experience, where they went to school, and all those small chit chat. Then I explain them the whole kind of story about the company and how we're working, what is our culture and everything, so they can start to feel a little bit less stressed and a little bit more engaging. And then we can talk about technical skill set and expertise. So basically, it's the same thing with onboarding. When you have hired somebody, you almost know 50% who they are, what they're doing, their technical skills and everything, but you need to learn the last 50%. And basically this is the naming the great first day experience, a part of onboarding process in the company. So when they come to first day, you will show them and introduce them to the rest of the team, and probably you will have a lunch, team lunch, where the people can be less stressed and relaxed and talk about anything, not just about the job. And the second thing is basically the whole kind of later career development, where product design teams dealing with workplace evolution in a phenomenal rate. So technology and the tools basically are constantly changing. We saw that lot of new tools are coming. For example, the Figma, the biggest upgrade in the whole kind of design industry was with the Figma tool. So from yesterday, the people worked with the Sketch, and it was the first tool. Then Vision was there, Adobe was there, and then came Figma. And I will say probably 75% all designers in the world switched to the Figma. They're working currently with the Figma. So this is related to constantly changing technology and the tools that people are working. And what you really, really need to think about, and you should find opportunities for the designers to learn about folks topics like accessibility. They're currently biggest topic, how to make a design that's really accessible for everybody. The localization and the tool design best practice, how to work, where to work, which tool to use, how to work faster with some tools, and that kind of stuff. I think we're nearly done, but the end is not yet there. So working together isn't easy. And if you don't have the design of culture and the mindset currently in your company, you have, or you struggle with the same things. Maybe you don't call that design ops, but probably you're working with all those things every day. And every team leader, team manager, had whatever kind of role you have, where you have a three, five, 10 people underneath you, you probably think about those things every day. And I think the people and process are complicated, but the design ops is basically the tool, and all those rules and phases and organization can help you to navigate through. So that's why making the first pillar is really, really important, and the second and third one can come later. And the strong design ops folks have the savvy and experienced influence from the better. Uh, I think I agree with this, and especially when it comes from Alana from Uber. He's the head of shipping experience design, and I will not say we have the same role. I'm also the head, but in a smaller scale. But shipping the experience design and having that kind of statement is really, really good, and explains how DesignOps works and how the experience works. But in order to do that, to maintain that, working together well ensures that we reap the benefits of design ops. And what are they? The seamless collaboration, the ability to scale the design process, and at the end, the managing needs for team and projects. But building a great team, setting up the rules and process, and making spaces for collaboration take a time. So be easy on yourself. And I intentionally highlighted great team rules and process space for collaboration because organization, great team, rules and process, collaboration, spaces, rules and processes helps you to, again, great team is humanization, rules and process are organization, and space for collaboration is collaboration and the design process. Sorry, it was a long day. So it's really important to spend time in setting up those design pillars because it sets ground for further operation. And remember that how we work together is just the first design ops pillar that we went through today. There are two more, and I don't think I had the time to finish this presentation, but probably in the next couple of months, I will set the second and the third pillar as a team. So design ops, as I say, work is about doing the work, and it's the second pillar, creating the impact. What you're doing is the third pillar, and to handle the remaining foundation pieces, you may need to dedicate tools and frameworks. Uh, I made a list of resources where you can learn a little bit more about the design ops. The one is the Friend of Figma Design Ops. It's basically a group in our Figma environment. Then there's a great Figma YouTube uh, in office event. It's about the first 90 days of the head of the design ops. And the second one is the case of design ops, how to identify when you need. There's a ton of different resources on YouTube, on other websites. You can just Google design ops and you will get a ton of different resources because it's currently a buzzwords in the industry. So I will say thank you for the listening. If you're not a member of Figma, Friends of Figma Bosnia and Herzegovina, you can join always. If not, I will see you probably on a second event.